Hello, everybody. Give me 1 second before we start. I just got to make sure we're live and share the link. Looks like we are live. Let's go ahead and share the link. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Breeze Toy Talk. This is my weekly live toy discussion. I've got some good stuff planned for this episode. So, as always, let me talk about what toys have I been picking up or playing with recently. No new toys recently. I've got a couple that I have got in the mail that I will show off in a toy review video soon. But I've also been picking up some PS4 video games, which are toy adjacent. I've got A Hat in Time, which is a really fantastic 3D platformer in the style of Super Mario Odyssey and reminiscent of like the Rare and Mario 64 type video games. It's a lot of fun. I've been playing it on the PS4. I also got The Sims 4 because I do have The Sims 3 on my laptop, but this laptop, the graphics card is not functional. So the game is not playable in its current state. And as always, I've been playing a lot of Minecraft. I had 2 chests full of stone pickaxes that I got from villager trading, trying to level up my smiths. So I've been underground burning through those, trying to collect some gold and iron and diamonds. I've got a lot of diamonds. So that's been pretty good. What am I looking for next? I have kind of pivoted. I'm still looking to finish out my G2 Transformers and Robots in Disguise 2001 collection. I just keep browsing eBay. I'm just trying to find them at the right price point. Some of the figures I want. I just don't want to pay that much for them. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye on that. I am still picking up weird and obscure sci-fi figures from the 70s through the 90s. I think there's still plenty to be had there, so I'm keeping my eye on those. I'm still looking for fantasy and medieval figures. But right now, I am kind of filling out my A Real American Hero collection, G.I. Joe, the 1982 toy line, and some of the vintage 1980s, 1990s TMNT figures. Trying to get through some of those with an emphasis on either the ones on my list, the characters that I want, or toys I had as a kid or played with as a kid or wanted as a kid. So that's where I'm focusing. So let's go ahead and jump into toy news and rumors. The first article is not big. It's not really toy related. It's more comic booky related. It's not much of a story. It comes from toynewsI.com. And it's basically just the new Superman Legacy movie has been retitled to just Superman. And James Gunn has shared a picture of the Superman logo. Not really a story there, but there's not a lot of news going around right now. Also, from the same website, we have Super 7 is teasing a Mad Balls license, according to Toy Newman. It's just an image of a Mad Ball from Super 7. That's all it is, but it looks like they possibly bringing the Mad Balls back to life, maybe, from Super 7. We'll see. No news yet, so I'll file this under rumors. And then from toyarc.com, and I saw it on other websites, but I'm reading it from here. McFarlane Toys and AMC ink new licensing agreement for the Walking Dead universe. It'll bring physical and digital collectibles to fans, spanning the expansive Walking Dead universe, including the latest series, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, blah, blah, blah. So I'm looking to see if there's a timeline on when we can expect to see these toys. I do not see a timeline. It just talks about the two companies and the two brands. So, okay. From Cybertron.com, they are reporting that Generation Select's Autobot Stand United 5-pack has officially been revealed. It looks like, let me click on the picture. Whoops, what did I do? All 5 figures are previously released molds. The figures are Wheeljack, Sunstreaker, and Trailbreaker, first released in the Earthrise line in 2020. Jazz released in Studio Series 86 in 2020. And Hound in his Earth mode, first released as Detritus in Legacy Evolution. So it's not really new figures. It's just a new bundle you can get. It says that they will start shipping in July. It will be $110 US for the bundle, which comes out to, according to their math, $22 per figure. I already have these figures individually, except for Sunstreaker I don't have, or Trailbreaker, but I have this iteration of Hound. I have this iteration of Jazz, and I do have this iteration of Wheeljack. So I will not be buying this bundle. Well, I don't have this exact iteration of Hound, I should say. I have the War for Cybertron Siege Hound, which is the same toy, just different deco. So there's no reason for me to double dip. Trailbreaker, I do not have. But to be honest, he's not one of the G1 characters I care about. And Sunstreaker, if I get a Sunstreaker, it'll be the original G1. I don't want a modern Sunstreaker. HissTank.com is reporting that G.I. Joe Wrath of Cobra has launched a new trailer. This is a video game. New characters, additional gameplay, and a glimpse at the 8-bit Hiss Tank. Is being produced by Marple Powered Games and is coming to Switch and PC. No release date, but it's expected in 2024. So let's go ahead and watch the trailer. G.I. Joe Wrath of Cobra. So this looks like a reminiscent of a Super Nintendo 90s style arcade game. Looks like it's mostly a beat 'em up. It's got some animation from the recreating scenes from the cartoon, it looks like. This looks more 16-bit or even 32-bit to me than 8-bit, so I don't know what they were reporting on. This does not look 8-bit at all. This is like a game that could have been on the original PlayStation, or maybe even Sega CD. It would have been fine back in the day. Okay, this is kind of a long trailer, but I'm going to let it play. Looks like quite a few variety of characters. It looks like you've got Duke and Scarlet I've seen so far. And I think I saw Beachhead. There's Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes. They're in the game, it looks like. A lot of generic Cobra soldiers. Oh, Snake Eyes does have his dog with him. And is that Gung Ho? And I can't tell who all those characters are. Anyways, and that's all I have for news and rumors. It's not very newsy this week, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and jump into the topics. My first topic is the format of the show: Forgotten Toyline Centurions. So, I don't know a lot about this toy line, so I'm gonna Google real quick. I should have already had this brought up. Centurions. I may have talked about this last week, actually. Now that I think about it, I may have forgot to update my. Yeah, I think this is the toy line I talked about last week, so I apologize. I wasn't very prepared this week, which is why this is coming a day late. Work has been a nightmare. I don't want to get into it. Work scheduling and just a lot of stuff going on. And my car broke down last week, so I've been limited to public transportation. So I've been kind of grounded, more or less. So that has caused some issues. So I've had a very stressful week since my car broke down. So let's just skip Forgotten Toy Lines for this week because I'm pretty sure I talked about that last week, and I should have been prepared. So we've got statues and figurines as my first topic. So as a toy collector, I have mixed feelings on figurines. I don't mind buying like Funko Pops or even like the little soldiers that come in the big bag of soldier figurines. I'm okay with those. I think those have a place in your toy action figure collection. But I'm pretty particular. I want articulated action figures. I do not want statues or busts. Not of like toy characters, comic book characters, video game characters, etc. I would kind of possibly be interested in getting statues or busts of horror characters from horror movies. Maybe Freddy Krueger, Jason, Pinhead, Leprechaun, stuff like that. But as far as my collection goes, I don't really I skip over statues and figures that aren't articulated or figurines. But I know some toy collectors like those. Obviously, they keep making them, so somebody's buying them. So my question to you, audience, is what would make you purchase a statue, bust, or figurine of a figure or character, either over or in addition to an articulated action figure? Like, what's your criteria? What are you looking for? Is it a specific product line? Is it a specific character you want? Or are you like me? You're just not interested. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I didn't put this in the description, but I'm also going to talk about toy-based video games. These are video games based on toy properties. I have a small list. There might be others out there. We've seen a massive influx of Lego video games, pretty much at least since the PS2 GameCube era. I don't know if we had any Lego games prior to that, but I know we had a bunch of them starting then, and we get like new ones every couple of years, it seems like. And we've gotten Lego games from just about everything. We've got Batman Lego games, we've got Lego City, we've got Star Wars, we've got Marvel, all kinds of stuff. So they have been churning them out. I have not seen very many video games based on the Hot Wheels properties as of late, but I know we had a few back in the day. Also, Micro Machines seems like they had some good video games back in the day, but not as many lately. Barbie gets a regular dose of video games. Now, I just talked about a G.I. Joe video game that's coming, which is kind of interesting because they haven't had a lot of G.I. Joe video games. We had one or two in the pre-NES 8-bit era, on the Atari systems. And then we had like a couple of them on the NES itself. And then basically nothing until this new game. There may have been a video game tie-in to Rise of Cobra. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to video games back then. It's a possibility there may have been a video game based on is it Retribution or Retaliation, whatever that sequel is called, or Snake Eyes, the recent one. But there's definitely a new retro style G.I. Joe game coming out. And Transformers have been a weird property for video games. We had a couple of Famicom video games in Japan only on the in the NES era, and then nothing until there was a couple of them on the PS2. There was a Beast Wars game, or a couple Beast Wars games. I think there was one on the 64, and there was one on the PlayStation 1, I believe. And then nothing until pretty much nothing. We had no movie tie-in games that I know of. We haven't had any real video games to speak of based on the Transformers properties that I'm aware of, at least since the PS2 GameCube era, which I believe it was only on PS2. I don't even think they were on the GameCube. I think they were just exclusive to PS2, and they may have been exclusive to Japan for all I know. Now, whether or not you consider Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles a toy property or not, it's based on a comic book, but I think more people know it as a toy than the comic book or a cartoon. There have been plenty of TMNT games over the years, but these are the ones I have experience with. I have played a few of the Lego games. I have played some of the 8-bit Micro Machines games. I've dabbled in Barbie games. I tried those G.I. Joe games on the NES and the Transformers Famicom games. And the Beast Wars games that were on the N64 and the PlayStation 1. I tried those as well. Don't remember liking any of them. So games based on toys, the only one that I can say definitively that I did like was Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga, which I believe I had on the GameCube. That game was pretty fun. For me personally, I'm not a fan of Legos, so I skip over the Lego-based video games when they come up. I don't buy them for my game consoles. I have a passing interest in Lego City Underworld, or whatever it's called, Lego City, that was on the Wii U, and I think it's been ported to other consoles. Or maybe it's Lego City Underground, I can't remember. I have a passing interest in that game. But beyond that, I'm not really that interested in Lego video games. The Barbie games, I'm a fan of Barbie. I have a big Barbie collection of toys and play sets and accessories and figures and things, vehicles. So I do like the Barbie property, but the video games tend to be, less than stellar. Micro Machines are just racing games with the Micro Machines license. Same with Hot Wheels. They're just racing games, so there's nothing special about them that really connects them to the toy property. So I guess in my experience, they don't really make a lot of quality video games based on toy properties. I mean, they've done some good video games based on comic books and cartoon characters and some anime. They've got good video games based on movies. But as far as a source, if you count board games, most of your big iconic board games get regular ports to your modern consoles on a pretty regular basis. Monopoly, Clue, Uno, I think, shows up from time to time. Definitely Monopoly's the big one. I think there's a shit ton of Monopoly games on basically every game console. Just about every game console ever made, starting with the NES going forward, has had some iteration of Monopoly. I say just about. There are exceptions. There's a handful of systems that didn't. I don't think the 3DO did. I don't know if the Sega CD did. Because if the Sega CD had a Monopoly game, you bet your ass I would have bought it. I definitely would have bought it. I know for sure the 32X didn't, because it only had 34 games, and at one point I owned the entire catalog, all 34 games. So I don't know, but I know that Monopoly's pretty regularly ported as a board game, but it's not really a toy necessarily. Going in reverse, I've already talked about toy lines based on video games in a previous chat, so there's no reason to rehash that. So the next question I have is, do modern toys still get cartoon tie-ins? No, I'm not talking about the ones that have always had cartoons, like He-Man, Ninja Turtles, Transformers, G.I. Joe. Those have always had cartoons of some fashion to tie in with the toys. I'm talking about, like, do they still, like, make a toy line and then create a cartoon to sell the toy line? You know, I know Fortnite is based on a video game. Minecraft is based on a video game. Obviously, World of Nintendo is based on a video game. But some of these toy properties I'm not familiar with, like Yu-Gi-Oh, Bakugan. I don't know what those are. I don't know if those are based on like an anime. They look Japanese. Yu-Gi-Oh very much looks anime. Bakugan definitely looks anime as well. And I know there was Bionicle for a while, but I think those are pretty old at this point. And I think there was a Bionicle cartoon. But my question then is, if they don't, my real question is, why don't they? What has changed in the market or in our society that's no longer customary? Because I know, like, technically Ninja Turtles is based on a comic book. G.I. Joe and Transformers had a comic book before they had the cartoon. And then I think even Masters of the Universe had a comic book before a cartoon. So even those are technically comic book properties, not, I mean, those are instances where the comic book and the cartoon were created to sell toys. That was the intention of those animated programs. But do they still do that? I know Cyberverse, Transformers Cyberverse had a cartoon, and I think there's a couple of He-Man cartoons or Masters of the Universe cartoons on Netflix, and I know, like, TMNT always seems to have a cartoon. I think those air on Nickelodeon. Probably, I would guess, streaming on Paramount Plus, most likely. I don't know who's streaming the Transformers cartoons, if anyone. I know some of the classic Transformers cartoons are streaming on Tubi, which is where I watch them when I'm in the mood. So just let me know. Leave a comment. Let me know. Are you familiar with any toy lines, recent toy lines? Recent as in the last 10 to 15 years, I would say, that were created as a toy property and a cartoon was commissioned to sell the toy property, is what I'm curious about. Do they still do that? If not, when did they quit doing it? Like, what's the last toy line that did that, is what I would be curious. And my last question is, are the Fortnite toys winding down? Now, I don't read a lot of Fortnite news, but I do collect the action figures because they're cool. They're very reminiscent of late 80s, early 90s G.I. Joe. But I have noticed, at least when I go to local toy stores like Target and Walmart, they don't have a big variety of Fortnite toys like they used to. Like, they used to have a whole section, a whole wall almost. The whole corner of the aisle was Fortnite. Now I see like 2 or 3 figures on the peg at most, and it's usually the same figures every store. I don't know if Fortnite is losing popularity as a property, or if the toys are just not selling, or if they're just not selling in my local market. What's the deal? So that's something I'm a little curious about. I'd like to do some research into that. Not much else to talk about today. It's been kind of a slow news week and not a lot of new toys coming out right now. So that's pretty much all I have for this episode. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like, and thumbs up the video, and stay cool.